So, friends, this is Andrei Berezovsky, and this is the High Explorer channel, a channel about health. These are my vitamins and supplements that I take almost every day. Why? How did I decide to take them? Am I crazy or what? Today, we're going to tackle this question because there are a lot of questions about it. And how can you quickly reach some kind of optimal state? Sleep, activity, I don't know, sexual health. Can you achieve this with supplements and vitamins? Or do you need something stronger, like hormones or something else? Friends, that's all bullshit. We're getting rid of that because it's an unscientific approach. Completely. We're starting the way you should always start, just like every doctor says, with testing. So today, our video is about how to quickly and with what tools you can really bring your body up to an optimal level. What tests do you need to get done? We're doing the bare minimum, friends, just the minimum to make it interesting and simple for you so you could actually do it tomorrow. So, following the recommendations of the AM System Clinic, that's Age Management System, by the way, we put together a list of tests, and as usual, we did them at the Dialo Laboratory. This is really interesting. So, what's the video about? The video is about my current health status, not just mine, though. We're taking two approaches, one about me and one about my wife. So, friends, you'll get information for both men and women, for husbands and wives, and you can compare it to your own situation to see what tests you should get. That's really interesting. Where are you right now? What do you need to do to be at your best? As always, the first part will be about what we've already done. Again, we're not talking about any screening tests. You can check it out. I've already done a lot, like gastro, colonoscopy, ultrasound. I haven't done things like CT or MRI, though. Those are instrumental examinations. In everyday terms, we do tests and go over them with the doctor. We discuss where we are now, what needs to be done, and how we can do it. This is very important. So the first part is, can you determine your current state, your health and your body's condition, just from the tests, and what needs to be done? Andrei Berezovsky on High Explorer, a channel about health, and from Dilly and AM System from my home. Stay tuned, don't switch channels. If you have questions about vitamin sets, anything else, or about the list of tests, leave a comment and happiness will come your way.
Hi.
Bye.
We received your lab test results. There are a lot of interesting things that can help you improve even more. In 2 or 3 months, you'll get a better, updated, more powerful, and elegant version of yourself. Now I know how. Let's get down to business. Lab tests. There are usually quite a lot of them, and they're described in terms that are either clear or not so much. Insulin, that's clear. Aspartate aminotransferase, why do they have to call it that? Got it, 15 units is normal, creatinine is normal. And usually, what does each of us do? He reviews the tests and says, yes, what's not normal has been highlighted. And then, whatever's not normal, we start Googling it and saying, so if there's not enough testosterone, what does that mean? Well, I'm a woman, so that's fine. And if my cholesterol is a little high, like 5% over, what does that mean? Should I eat better? Well, okay, everything's fine, until next time. That's usually how checkups go for most Ukrainian women. And it's a waste of time, money, and opportunities. Why? A checkup only makes sense if it leads to some action that actually improves you before your next checkup. In other words, the goal of prevention isn't to catch a disease early and treat it, but to actually prevent it. To prevent it, we need to find the weak spot in the system and improve it, so it's easier to understand what we've been doing. Imagine there's a train. We get on it at birth. That's our heredity. We get both sets of DNA from our mom and dad. The train goes where it goes because that's our genes, and for now, we can't change them. Although you can study and, depending on which genes you have, you can understand where the train is headed, whether it's toward cardiovascular diseases, cancer, or something else. And if you know which way the train is going, you check more often in that direction. There are 3 cars behind the train. Let's start with the last, the third one. This is the check for the question of calliopeia. Which one? Cancer? No, how is it checked? Tumor markers. And what did they do? A lot of tumor markers? 3, 5, 7, and all good. Well, phew, that's good. By checking tumor markers, we're checking whether cancer is already present. And it's good if it's not. But that's the last car. The second to last car is checking metabolic processes. What's going on with insulin and glucose? What about cholesterol and its fractions? What about homocysteine? And what about uric acid? Each of them is responsible for different metabolic processes. And if you don't correct them in time, if cholesterol is too high, you can have a stroke or a heart attack. If uric acid is too high, you'll have kidney problems and so on. So, the second to last cart, if a problem is detected and diagnosed in time, it allows us to manage the consequences of diseases, to prevent them, and that's exactly what most labs and doctors focus on, because we're taught to make diagnoses. There's a disease, and then we treat it. But there's no attention paid to the very first cart. Do you know what it is? Hormones. It's hormones. They control both our emotional state and our physical condition right here and now. And it's the balance, or more precisely, the imbalance of hormones that determines what happens next. For example, too much insulin, look for diabetes, and after that, you'll get retinal pathology. No vision. For example, if there's a lack of testosterone, what happens then?
Well, vitality disappears.
The usual story is that it's about sex, or for girls, it's about facial hair, a voice that's too deep, or changes in the neck like a man's. But that's an overdose of testosterone. If a girl lacks testosterone, she has no strength, her energy and productivity disappear, and she loses the drive to pursue any big goal. We plan, we achieve. It doesn't matter if it's a trip or some kind of business plans. The story about having energy throughout the day disappears, as does the desire for things like sexual attraction and enjoyment from sex. You just don't think about it. Sex? What sex? There are kids, work, all this chaos. But when it's enough, you fantasize, you have sex, you experience intense emotions, and you say, this is great, this is life, it's happening right here and now. Besides that, it's also a matter of your figure, because if a girl has low testosterone, she'll have extra kilograms of body fat. And if her testosterone is at a healthy level, she'll be slim, her muscles will be firm, and she won't have much, she won't have excess fat. Besides that, testosterone also helps prevent conditions like varicose veins in the legs or hemorrhoids. Normal testosterone means no hemorrhoids. Normal testosterone means no varicose veins, even cellulite. If testosterone is too low, cellulite will show up. Not to mention changes in the skin, which becomes more flabby. I'm not even talking about changes in metabolism, although that's important, because low testosterone means a gradual increase in cholesterol and a gradual increase in insulin. And that brings us to the last car on the train when it comes to cancer risks. So it's kind of a magical story with one answer, what about my testosterone? If it declines, and it does because of stress and aging. Aging by the calendar is the same for everyone, but stress is different for each person. And Ukrainians have aged 10 years in just half a year of war. When it's stress, 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 there's no testosterone, no energy, no inspiration, no desire, no healthy future. One number determines what happens next. And it's more important than cholesterol or insulin or metabolic issues or even the last resort like tumor markers.
So, first and foremost, you need testosterone.
Hormones.
Testosterone.
Because besides testosterone, there are a few other hormones, and they're all connected. In this report, if we take a look at it, just like I said, your iron levels are a bit altered, you're probably taking preventive measures, and it's a little above the normal range. Great, but not below normal. Your vitamin D levels are a bit higher than average. We're saying you're probably taking some supplements because a vitamin D level of 180 is quite sufficient. You've already taken quite a bit of it, and you have a good reserve, even a surplus. Your metabolic parameters are a bit altered, as I already mentioned. I mean, first and foremost, your cholesterol. But all these changes are really insignificant compared to your hormone levels. Why? Look. To make it easier to understand all these numerous tests, we said that we put all the most important things on a single scale. On one side, it's the scale of life, testosterone levels, years of life. A line that reflects the standard story about changes. At 25, a woman is at her most energetic and dynamic. At 50, something changes, menopause, and after that, it's the same as for everyone else. Congratulations, old age. But you can be at your optimum at 25, 35, 45, and even at 60. The question of what's normal is actually quite broad. The norm is 008 or 048. That's a five-fold difference. And it's completely clear that a girl with these numbers and one with those numbers are two very different girls. But if we come to understand what's optimal, that's the best scenario. Let's see where you are on this scale. the key hormones that matter. The ones we checked in the first stage are marked with little black birds. Do you see your testosterone? It's not just within the normal range, it's actually outside the limits. If we find it here, then we understand that according to the test results, your testosterone,
Here it is. Testosterone is right on the edge.
yes, when you look at it like this, it's a bit below normal.
Yeah.
Right? 0.35, 0.40. Well, almost. But it's not too high. I am a woman, after all. When you look at this scale, you realize you're outside the range. Whereas women are usually around 60. So I take my hat off to you and say, I don't know how you manage, but knowing you, you're a charismatic, energetic woman. But with that level of testosterone, it's just sheer willpower.
How do birth control pills affect testosterone? If I've been taking hormonal pills for 20 years. More than 20. 21. Well, actually, I've been taking hormonal pills for 23 years.
Half your life.
Yes.
And 2/3 of an adult.
Yes.
You see the answer?
I see. So it really does have an effect. Well, I don't really feel it in my everyday life.
It's like the comparison of what are you used to? Like when we go to Africa and they live on $100 for 3 months with the whole family. How do you live? It's fine. How do you live with a yard? It's fine. You just don't realize what life could be like if your testosterone was at its optimum.
It's hard.
And on one hand, that's the question. An excellent student, although the question is, why are you taking them? The first question. The second question, isn't it about prescribing testosterone? Right here and now. But if we raise your testosterone levels a little physiologically through showers and supplements, you'll feel much more energetic. More energetic, more. Joyful, because testosterone promotes pleasure, and overall, you'll feel different. The problem isn't just with testosterone. The issue is that its precursor, DGA, is also below optimal levels. And with DGA, cocaine doesn't have a direct effect. Testosterone is directly affected by cocaine, but DGA is not. And DGA is a compound that acts as a precursor to testosterone, because all sex hormones are synthesized from cholesterol. Cholesterol becomes pregnenolone, pregnenolone becomes DGA, DGA becomes testosterone, and testosterone becomes estrogen. And when we have a testosterone deficiency, we check what's happening higher up in the chain. DGA is too low. And what's even higher? How about progesterone? And what's above that? Cholesterol. And it's too high. Why? Because the chest is a cutter, he says, but let's give the body the opportunity to synthesize its own sex hormones. Hormones. Cholesterol increases. And what do? We use statins, which process cholesterol. And we say, you won't be able to synthesize it. The question is, why does DGA decrease? Because this vertical line has a side pathway called cortisol. Cortisol is synthesized from the same hormone, pregnenolone, as DHA. And the body is a strange thing. If it senses stress, it doesn't care about your wishes for sex or energy. It needs to survive. And what does it need to survive? We need to take the pregnenolone resource and direct it toward cortisol. What does a woman feel from constant stress? That's why you experience emotional and physical exhaustion, not from nowhere, but because the body is trying to synthesize cortisol. And in this sense, the reason for the decrease in DHA, which is below optimal in a young woman, and by age, we're already somewhere around here, is chronic stress from war, business, the pace of life. The absence of a husband, children, basically, we're just under constant daily stress. To deal with this, you either need to reach a state of Zen. It works. That's why people in the mountains or monasteries live longer. But the question is, if you're not there, you need to compensate for it. To balance out the cortisol swings so the body can cope with the drop in DHA. What can we do? By adding a bit of DHA substrate and its precursor, pregnenolone, we give the body a chance to synthesize its own testosterone. And if we provide not the hormone testosterone itself, but its precursors, like tribulus, maca, zinc, and similar things, the body synthesizes it better. And we still haven't touched testosterone itself or even affected its spikes. Although the question is, for what purpose? It's convenient, sure, but this isn't about health, and it's not about longevity. You're just convenient. I highly recommend it. For what purpose? Out of curiosity. Maybe there are some hormones involved there. Prolactin. There are definitely hormones involved. If you, as the general contractor, don't understand what it's for, then that's a strange situation. Imagine you're building a house. Someone tells you, here will be a fireplace room and a cigar room. You say, but I don't smoke. Why do I need a fireplace? I like that. When a person, a client, understands what the doctor is prescribing, it's just as strange as having a cigar room if you don't smoke. I'm not claiming the phrase, let's cancel the pills. I'm saying you need to understand why you're taking them. Is it possible to do without them? What will happen if you go without them? And I try not to take them, try not to win, stretchy. Completely. A different person, even in terms of my skin, so how much better is it? I can say for sure. To answer your question, we need to take a comprehensive approach to understanding the state of all the hormones. Because besides testosterone and DHA, your estradiol is fine, and that's the birth control pills, okay. Your growth hormone is outside the optimal range. Growth hormone is about stress resistance, energy, proper sleep, and longevity. Very low, very low. Usually, for girls, it's at this level because there's stress. There's a lack of active resistance training with weights at the gym. A lack of proper sleep, and sometimes a lack of growth hormone. Your prolactin is fine. You're not overloading yourself with stress as such. Your ovarian function is okay, and your thyroid gland is fine too. It's exactly what allows you to be in a resourceful state to support your mood, condition, skin, and femininity. There are strong supports like TSH and prolactin, but the structure is a bit shaky when it comes to testosterone and DHEA. They should be balanced. Our goal, when we look at the monitoring, is to tell you that there's nothing to worry about. The second to last. Car, the wagon, everything's fine there. The last one, we haven't checked for tumor markers. We also haven't done any genetic testing, but in the second car, which is the first one after. The engine, there are some issues with hormone imbalance. If we balance it out, life will improve significantly, both in terms of energy and longevity. How to do that, we'll talk about it with you. In the second part, because that's a separate conversation, since there are several options, a healthy lifestyle, supplements, hormones, even hardware-based methods using stem cells. Not everything at once. Where should you start? What's the difference between supplements and hormones? Let's talk about it in the second part.